RioPlexGroup.com. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV. From the Radio United Broadcast Center, this is the Sergio Show. Talking about the news headlines and topics that affect you. And now, the Sergio Show with Sergio Sanchez.
Hour 2 of the Sergio Show on News Talk 710 KURV, made possible by South Texas Buick GMC. And big thank you to Lone Star National Bank. And we are broadcasting. Which platforms are you on right now, Fred? YouTube 710 KURV live. YouTube 710, and the one that I hate, which is, it really sucks, Facebook, but we have to do that because, like it's got a lot of eyeballs on there. We'll eventually punt this conversation that is live online to where it counts for business, which is on LinkedIn. Someday these kids at LinkedIn will figure out they need to go live as well. And the studio, Gabe Puente from RioPlex Business Exchange, and an expert in mergers and acquisitions. I welcome John Wilson to the studio. You boys come up to the microphone. See how close I am to the microphone? That's not close, so we can hear you. Before I start the conversation, John, welcome to the studio. And
good to be here.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where's your office? Some of your expertise. How long you've been in business? What do you do day to day to pay the bills?
Sure. So I'm an attorney down here. I went solo about 2 or 3 years ago after working at firms in Austin, Houston. Moved down here for my wife's family. I've been doing M&A, raising money for companies, helping them find investors, and just kind of any general corporate work that small businesses in the Valley need.
You're one of the experts that is available, your expertise, your counsel available through the RioPlex Business Exchange. Mm-hmm. And my friend Gabe Puente is in the studio. For folks who have never heard this before, and I don't see how, because we talk on a regular basis, but we're probably, shooting fish in a barrel again. So tell folks about the RioPlex Business Exchange, its purpose.
Yes, thank you, Sergio. So the RioPlex Business Exchange is here to fulfill a need in the marketplace. Right now, the statistic shows that 60% of all the businesses in America are owned by the baby boomer generation and the small businesses. And so only about 30, maybe 10% of them actually have a succession plan or exit strategy in place. And so a lot of these business owners are not having any success in either succeeding their business or finding a proper exit. So unfortunately, you have people who have been owning their business for 25 plus years that are ready for the next stage. They just don't know where to go. And so the RioPlex Business Exchange has created this network and an ecosystem, a financial ecosystem where they can network with investors and what we call ETAs, entrepreneurs through acquisitions, to purchase their business. And also at the same time, reach out to the trusted advisors that we have in the different markets that are local, like John Wilson, who's an M&A advisor. We have Abby Young, a CPA, and also Bill Martin, a wealth advisor, and some other trusted advisors, because that's your A team that any small business any business should have whenever they're thinking about an M&A or mergers and acquisitions.
The purpose to be ready in the event that life T-bones you, and it does, mercilessly sometimes. The chief, the owner of a business. I mean, how many times? I'm sure you probably know somebody that's gone through this. Think of your suppliers, your vendors, and people that you've had relationship with. You as a business owner, somebody that, car accident or a stroke or something like that, and maybe the person didn't die, but is bedridden. That's it. The chief who's running the business needs to sell it. Yeah. And all those people dependent on that business, people you love, those employees. Now you're in a fire sale situation, whereas you need to be ready for life, just like you purchase life insurance and other,
you said it right. Sergio, the idea is to get the most value for your business at the right time. And unfortunately, I've seen, working with small businesses, that they've gone to this stage where, to your point, they've had to have a fire sale and they're just selling their business for parts, where 20 years ago, it was worth a lot more. And so we're actually offline. I was talking to the receptionist about how there's a lot of resources for entrepreneurs, and there's a lot of resources now for small business startups. But some of the things that is lacking is, how do we exit after they've been gone up and run? What are they doing at that stage, and how do we prepare them for that? So the RioPlex Business Exchange is meant for that, not only to give them those opportunities to find the investors, but also to get educated. And there's a lot of outreach that we have to do. And John is the perfect guy to talk about, well, businesses need to be set up properly, and some questions that they don't even know to ask whenever they're thinking about doing a merger or going through an M&A deal.
John Wilson is a trusted advisor. He's an expert in mergers and acquisitions, attorney. He's one of the trusted advisors at their RioPlex Business Exchange. So if you could explain maybe in a minute or two, John, like you hold the business owner's hand, and what do you say? What do you do with them in order to get them prepared for the future? As I mentioned, just for eventuality, make sure they're properly valued, if they
Sure.
want to sell, all those things. What do you do with these folks?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it is having a team, right? It's not just an attorney. You really need a CPA. I think your financial records need to be in good shape. That's critical to getting a good good valuation. From a legal perspective, you want to think about structuring. I think a lot of times in businesses, people are kind of lumping a lot of assets together into one entity. You'll see them having real property and operating assets in the same entity, and you can end up having big cross liability from that sort of thing. So more careful with the structuring. And then to tie into something that you said, I think estate planning is something that a lot of people really don't think about in terms of their business. They kind of look at their business and their personal assets as two separate things, and that's just really not the reality. So you end up in situations where, say, the business owner, the person who's really been running the business, has passed. There's no succession plan in place, and they need to sell the business, and they can't because it's tied up in probate. So there are a lot of different angles to think about ahead of time. The lawyer is not necessarily the big heavy lifter at kind of a pre-sale stage. I think that's more going to be your CPA. But I do think that there are critical things that can be done early that when you are ready, or if something does happen, that can make the process a lot smoother.
Let's say, for example, Gabe, back to you as the owner of RioPlex Business Exchange. Let's say you got somebody's attention right now. They're driving around town. Oh man, aside from payroll, which is the end of the month, and having to pay some loans and all those things. Oh man, I really need to take care of this, but hasn't, and might be in a situation as John was mentioning, where the assets are pooled in one place where they're exposed to litigation. We live in a very litigious society, especially here in South Texas. Something bad happens and boom, everything flushed down the toilet or exposed or tied up in the courts, things like that. Or because there is no succession plan, all those things. How long with your trusted advisor, CPA, with John, an attorney, mergers and acquisitions, and the rest of the team, how long would it take from the beginning where nothing has been done to getting to an optimum condition situation as a business owner, where everything is structured properly and you've got the legal paperwork in place, so make sure that the business continues and provides a living for all those families that depend on that business owner? How long do you think it would take?
Well, it's a good old MBA answer. It depends, right? It really depends on how clean their books are, the CPA that they work with, their finances, everything. And so if the CPA is the person that should be able to answer those questions to see how long it should take to get everything organized. And then after that, John will come in later as the M&A advisor and attorney to do, structuring the deals legally. But it's working with your CPA, and sometimes it could take years. Just all depends on how well organized and clean the books are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Typically, the longer you wait, the longer it takes to correct, right?
Yeah.
So the earlier in the business lifetime that you get things in order, the less time it takes.
The whole
because
idea is
there's
just
less
get
to clean
started.
up.
Just get
Yeah.
started, man. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Make the call to Gabe Puente over at
Yeah.
RioPlex Business Exchange. How does it work?
So it's a very seamless process. It's 30. So there's two memberships. It's a membership driven platform.
Okay.
So it's an open market platform. So if you're a business owner looking to sell or interested in selling, one of the things that we want to ensure to all the business owners on Main Street is that there's a level of discretion. You're not throwing out your whole finances on the platform, but we're going to be asking some questions. What has been your what's a annual revenue range? What is your EBITDA, or earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization range? How many employees do you have? What areas do you serve? How long you've been in business? And a slight description, which we've implemented a little bit of AI on the platform. If you do have a website, you plug in your website, it'll give you a brief description so that you don't have to worry about thinking about, how do I describe my own business? So it takes about 5-10 minutes to get on the platform. And so for the business owner, it's $34 a month. It's a month-to-month subscription. And as an investor, if you're looking to buy a business, it's $75 a month. And so right now, we have a very healthy ratio, which I'm proud to say. 60% of our members are small business owners, and the other 40% are the investors. So it's very key because a lot of open marketplaces, you'll find more investors, you'll find more brokers, and a lot of, I won't say junk businesses, but failed businesses that are just looking for cash. And so these are qualified, good businesses for those investors to source.
Okay. Website. Where do folks find you?
The RioPlex BizX, RIPLEX.BIZX.com is where they can go.
It's without the at the beginning, right?
Correct.
Say it again. Say it one more time.
RioPlexBizX.com. And if they want to activate now, RioPlexBizX.com/activate.
You said 6-to-4 ratio. That'd be what, 60% business owners?
Right.
And
the businesses that are on there that, from the plumbing companies to the bakery, from the laundromats. And we do have a wide range of industries and businesses that are looking to sell.
Who are the potential investors that are onboarding to this that could be purchasing a business in the future?
And it can range. It could be strategic investors, some people who want to tap into their customer base. Let's say, for example, if there's an HVAC company that is there for sale, there could be a pest control company that is looking to just tap into those households. So those are the types of investors that are looking to come on board, or somebody who's coming out. There's a wave of MBA grads that are coming out of the top business schools in the country that are wanting a piece of the American dream, but they don't want to start it. So those are the entrepreneurs through acquisitions. They'd rather just go around, do some source funding from family and friends, and go and purchase a business and optimize it to get it to where they need to be. Because they do have the knowledge, they have the base, but they're just looking to take over the business.
On the merger side of it, Gabe, and maybe this would be more for John Wilson, local attorney. He's an expert in mergers and acquisition. On the merger side of it, what are some of the triggers, the potential landmines when, let's say, a dry cleaner place? Hey, that dry cleaner down the street, or they find it on the platform. Well, there's one I could merge with these or acquire these two and increase the number of locations that I have. Things like that. What are maybe some of the more common mistakes that individuals might make as they try to swallow up competition or bringing them in?
Sure. I think a lot of it is valuing, right? Getting a proper valuation on the company. Something that I focus on is how customer retention, how sticky are the customers of the business that you're buying. In some industries, the inherent stickiness is pretty high, and some it's pretty low. So if we're looking at buying a business where we really can't guarantee that customers are going to stick around, how do we on the buy side protect ourselves? Can we use an earnout? Can we use kind of retained payments? There are different ways of providing financial security on the deal for kind of variables in the business that you're buying.
RioPlex Business Exchange, RioPlexBizX.com is a good place for window shopping in that. But at some point, the conversations need to get a little bit more intimate. Okay, let's see the financials. I'll open up the books. I mean, everything from debt load to maybe even litigation, lawsuits that are pending. All that stuff is revealed after the window shopping and the conversation takes place before somebody jumps into the pool.
Yeah. And they can even reach out to John directly. I mean, our trusted advisors are on there to give them to be a resource for all the business owners. So they don't necessarily need to have a subscription to even reach John directly. So he's on the platform as well as some of the other trusted advisors in case some of the small business owners have questions.
Yeah,
sure.
What else you want folks to know? Business owners, what else you want them to know? Or maybe even potential investors that are looking for a business.
The business owners, I would say, the biggest thing is, what we've noticed is there's a hesitation, especially in small markets like the Rio Grande Valley, that old saying, loose lips sink ships. Nobody wants their dirty laundry out there. Nobody wants to know that they're being sold because there could be some rumors going out there, and they can also devalue their, it could hurt their valuation, right? And it could also hurt their employee retention.
Or hurt business.
Yeah, or hurt business.
These people are selling. I don't know. I'm going to go somewhere else.
So there is a level of discretion for the business owners to shop and go to be out there, and also given that blanket of security, knowing like if they are worried about that information being out there. No one
will know. It's a very private.
Yeah. And there's that barrier as well. People have to pay to be on the platform, where other platforms are free, and so everything is out there. Because there are other like there's Biz by Sell, which is mainly ran by brokers, but all the information is out there, which you'll find like London's, restaurants, bars. So yeah.
What type of calls are you getting from folks who are interested in onboarding to the business exchange? Who are you working with?
So
prospecting.
Yeah,
I know you're doing chambers of commerce conversations, all that.
Yeah, it's a lot of these baby boomers that are looking for that exit strategy, or they're real estate agents, and we're working with realtors as well. So, for example, one of the last conversations we had about a week and a half ago was a commercial real estate broker who had buildings that were owned by a laundromat. He said, my client is trying to figure out how to value his company. Are you able to do that with the RioPlex Business? And said, absolutely. So don't only list it on Crexy, list it on the RioPlex Business Exchange as well, because that valuation is going to be extremely valuable whenever you're going through that deal.
Speaking of the boomers who maybe want an off-ramp and go sip on margaritas in the Caribbean the remainder of their life, before you do that, though, this came up during the last conversation with you. Be prepared to stick around for about 24 months. You got to if somebody invests in your business, buys your business, more than likely they will smartly insist that you stick around and help them run the business. So that way, they're not just hit the ground running and try to figure things out. They need to work with you to be able to continue.
I mean, that's a red flag, right, John?
Yeah.
That would be a red flag if somebody said, hey, we want to sell.
I got to quit.
I got to quit. That's it.
Yeah, this can be a pretty big friction point in these types of deals, and is a good reason to start thinking about selling before you're absolutely ready to be on the beach, because there probably will be some transition period. A savvy buyer will almost always insist on it, and that's a big part of the legal document, right? How enforceable is this? How long are they going to stick around? Is it 5 days a week? There are a lot of different ways to kind of skin that cat in a way that works for everybody.
Yeah, that's where you got to think ahead and be prepared for that. 30 seconds, closing thought, John.
I think the RioPlex Business Exchange is a great thing for the Valley. There are a ton of family businesses here, a lot of entrepreneurs. I think it's a great platform for that.
Closing thought?
Don't wait. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. So go on, subscribe. And if you want to reach out to any of our trusted advisors, they're on the RioPlexBizX.com website.
I was thinking of gathering all my pennies and hopping aboard the business exchange, finding a panaderia. Problem is, I would eat I would eat everything. Yeah, I'd be out of business. Then need a doctor afterwards for my diabetes. All right, thanks for stopping by, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Gabe Puente, RioPlex BizX.com, RioPlex BIZX.com. That's the RioPlex Business Exchange. Thank you to my buddy Gabe Puente. Best hair in the business, and you can see it on social media. My goodness, look at that. He is a hair model, by the way. He does all shampoos and conditioners, in case you want to hire him for that. And John Wilson, mergers and acquisitions attorney. Thanks for stopping by, brother.
Absolutely.
Oh, Mr. Wilson. I didn't find a way to incorporate that into the broadcast somewhere. Time is 10:24. The Sergio Show on Newstalk 710 KURV, made possible this hour by Lone Star National Bank and South Texas Buick GMC.
Your Houston Astros host the Boston Red Sox. Tune in later tonight. First pitch at 7:10. Powered by Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women and News Talk 710 KURV. Are you ready?
Valeo, the manufacturing win for McAllen. A huge plant is coming to the area that brings very, very high-paying jobs. Industrialist and investor Joaquin Spummer, congratulations.
It is a big win for the city of McAllen. It is a project that was brought to us by the McAllen Economic Development Corporation. They know that economic development is all about results. We were blessed to be part of it, but at the end, this is a big win for the city, a big win for the region. And I also want to recognize Vantage Bank. Roberto Rodriguez and George Cardenas helping us from the very beginning, is putting McAllen in the map. State-of-the-art technology, cars technology, the way it's going to be done into the future. Everything is about results. We have to sell the region, and we have to sell the region as a unit, and that's what we're doing.
RioPlex, where hope begins to rise, where the north and south stand side by side.
News, weather, your information station. This is News Talk 710 KURV.
Time is 10:26. The Sergio Show on News Talk 710 KURV. This is the radio station for Houston Astros baseball. So catch them. The rule around here is weeknights and weekends. Astros baseball on 710 KURV. Big thank you to our many supporters.